for having me, Natalie.
Thank you so much. I don't think you guys understand. Chip is part of the inspiration for this series, Engage Now What. And Chip and I have worked together on a wedding or two, and it's just been such a positive experience. And we're just so happy to have you. So thank you for being here today, Chip.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be in front of the camera.
I know, right? It's weird.
Like, in front of the camera. We're usually behind there. So.
Well, this is the Engage Now What series where we talk to everyone about what to expect, but from the wedding planning process instead of what to expect when you're expecting. So this is our twist. And we are doing a series of interviews, and Chip is our favorite videographer. So we're talking to you about video today, Chip, and what that experience is for you. So let's jump right in and talk about why do brides and grooms or couples, why do they need a videographer?
Well, sometimes it used to be when I first got in this business, we were afterthought, and sometimes still are. And you know from brides, if there's a part of the budget you got to cut, we got photos. So you're never going to cut photos. That's just not going to happen. You're never going to cut, some other stuff, a DJ. You got to have lights sometimes.
Right.
But video can sometimes be a little bit iffy because back in the day when videos first coming out, wedding videos, they weren't like they are now.
Right.
And the video process has changed so much. I've been doing since 2010 professionally, but I've been doing videos for years. But since 2010, from when I started to now, 2017, is totally different.
Totally.
Yeah, and technology has changed too.
So much. I mean, if you just look at social media and Facebook and Instagram, all of those things weren't even in the picture. Now everybody wants to be a part of everybody's lives every single day. And so video, you're the professional side of that, right? Yeah. So, I do find that video is so important for weddings.
And it shows a story, it shows emotion. Photos can capture a moment, but video can show that emotion and show actually the tears running down the face. I mean, I have so many videos where I have a groom crying or a reaction or a speech that just can't be captured because it's something with hearing somebody's voice and looking at them. Yeah. And sometimes with some couples, they look at a year from now and they say, hey, that was my uncle so-and-so. Right. And when he's passed on, and they say, wow, I heard his voice. Yeah,
that is an important thing to capture. Very important. But tell me, I mean, a lot of people would say, well, my cousin can do it. So what is your take on that?
Like a photographer would say, like a florist would say, everybody is with a cell phone is now a professional or a pseudo-professional. So what I tell people is that you can get someone, of course, for cheap or for that or a family member, but it's about the story and capturing that story. I think that's where people like me are trained, and people I've trained and people who have trained me have trained are storytellers, and we know a start, middle, and an end, and we know how to craft it. It's one thing putting on the camera, it's another thing putting it together.
Absolutely. And editing is so important.
Oh, yes.
I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I'll just capture it on, this new camera that I have or on my phone. But the important part is actually bringing it together.
With the music, making sure it's cohesive. You gotta have it as when you're watching something. You ever watch something in a movie and you're like, man, that just didn't make sense. You go around like, what in the world? Right. But it's just like a middle, beginning, and end, and there's actually a formula for doing this. Wow. So there's a formula that videographers now train, and that I've learned, and other people do this at high levels that we have to follow in order to get. I mean, you'll always see a video starting with a drone. You always see a makeup shot. You'll always see a groom doing a tie. Think about okay, But I'm just telling you, you always see those things. Those are just some things you always see. Yeah. Right? In every video. They may not be in that specific order. Right. But you'll see different things. And you're like, okay, I see. Yeah. And that's the difference between professionals and amateurs. They know how to sequence and how to sequence and how to tell a story.
Absolutely. So on wedding day, how many shooters do you traditionally bring?
So I usually like to have one assistant, a second shooter, and sometimes a third person. If I'm in a church, or especially at churches, because churches are different because you have to do audio. I may have an audio technician just for the church. If it's all in one place, like a venue, it'll just be me and a colleague.
Got you.
So usually 2 minimum, 3 maximum, but not for the whole day.
Okay. So you mentioned a minute ago drones.
Oh, yes.
They are all the rage.
Yes.
So is drone a part of your experience?
Yeah, I started with drones real early when they first came out, they weren't as technology driven as they are now. But oh my gosh, they are just. I mean, I have gotten a lot of business just by putting drone up. So a funny story, I was actually advertising drones before I really knew how to fly it real well. Because I said, this is the next hot thing.
Right.
And I would just fly it, crashing it, didn't know what in the world to do.
Wow.
But it's like version 1 of the iPhone. You know, everybody just gets it, but it's really not that great.
Right.
Now they're on this version 4 or 5 of these drones now. It's like the iPhone 5, 6, 7,
right.
They get better. But I was doing with version 1, and you couldn't even use your smartphone to control it. Now you use your smartphone to control it.
Nice.
And I was, oh my God, I was so nervous because you spend these money, thousands of dollars. So they have toy ones. You're like, oh my God, your money is up in the air.
Literally.
Literally, your money's in the air. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Right.
So, but I love the cinematic shots it gets. Brides love it. Couples love it. And especially if you have an outdoor beach or lake wedding.
Or
garden is beautiful for that. Just capturing the scenes that 10 years ago, it wasn't even possible.
Exactly.
It wasn't even possible. So just think about that. When I got married in 2001, that's a long time ago, it's a drunk what? I mean, you know,
exactly.
We mean, you know, a news helicopter maybe.
Right.
Right? But not something you just put in the air. So it's exciting.
It's amazing you say that. Technology really has changed so much, and it's changed so much for our industry.
Yes.
Just so much.
It has.
So speaking of just what the total experience is and what you're getting from your guests, tell me a little bit about what input you want from the client and what really you like to have control over.
So me and my team, we really have this thing called, I coined this term called planned spontaneity. So what that means is that I'll tell a bride where to stand, how to turn, but I will never tell them what to say. But we put them in situations. So for instance, if we have a first touch or a first look or you give a bride a note, we want to make sure they're by the window, they're facing a light, they're a certain way, because if they're not, I know cinematically it's going to look right. And then it's up to me to tell the story. Am I going to use, you know, a push shot? Am I going to go overhead, go up? And that's more of the storyteller in me. So it's like a photographer or like an event planner. Like every decoration is different. It just depends how you do it. But I want to make sure I don't create it because it's not a reality show, but I put them in the best situation to make sure. So, and every room is different, as you know. As you know, every hotel is different. Every bridal suite is different. And even when you go to the same place, like this year, I'm shooting at the same venue like 3 times. So I have to think, I've never done that before. Right. So I think, oh, how can I make this different? Well, each person is different. Right. And so how can I make each, you know, and not get old? So it's just really about putting the bride in the best light, and the groom, and get a natural reaction. Right. Because if you tell people to react, you know, that's fake. Yeah, it doesn't feel. It feels contrived. It doesn't. You remember the way we did with Shannon and Otis when they did the first touch? Yeah. That was just so. I mean, I just remember that like it was yesterday. And it was raw. Yeah. Those emotions were very real. Those. I mean, and they can never do that again. No. A first look or a first touch, and when she's crying, and when she's holding his hand, you know, and when you get that on camera, they'll look back on that 20 years from now. It's like, oh my God. That was so real. Seriously. I love them. So speaking of which, what about music? Oh yeah, that's very important. I love music and audio. It's just in wedding films and weddings, if you don't have good audio, you don't have film. It's like you can take bad video, but if you don't have good audio, as you know, for this series or any series you do, you got to be able to hear people. Right. And the music choices. So couples are having bands nowadays. They're having DJs. They're having special music. Right. Some of them even having whole ceremonies. Like I've done my first wedding in 2010 was a concert wedding, Natalie. Believe it or not. It was nothing but, it wasn't really long reception, but it was nothing but just all music. Because she was an opera singer and he's in the music producer. And then it was a wedding. So first hour was nothing but songs. Second hour was the ceremony, half hour ceremony. Wow. So yeah, people are doing so much. So music choices are important. You could choose from either stock music. People getting away from using the artist music because those get flagged on YouTube and Facebook. And I'm trying to get away from. We're all trying to get away from that now because you know you got to pay to play with that. But and even some people are creating music for their own ceremony, you know,
Right.
like songs, and people are creating things. I mean, people are really doing all out.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you're a producer, you know somebody's a producer, they want a custom song for your wedding,
Right.
they may do that.
I mean, that's exciting for our industry because weddings are really, they're just such personal events.
They are.
So you want them to be about you.
Yeah.
You want them to be about your fiance or your spouse. And so why not go all the way out with it?
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So what generally, with all that work that you're putting in, what is the turnaround time?
Wow. So that could be when I got married, and I'm going to show you, I brought a little thing back in the year of 2001. Look at this thing. It's crazy, Natalie.
It's the dinosaur video.
This was like, came off a U-Haul truck or something like that. The guy's name was Brock Pemberton.
Wow. Hey, Brock. Is he still in business?
I don't even know. I haven't called him. I got married in the Philadelphia area. He got his phone number there, no website.
Right.
But back then. So this took us, when we got married in 2001, my wife and I, it took us about almost a year to get this back.
Wow.
A long time with the VHS tapes. And remember, this is, you know, a lot of people who watch it may even know what VHSs are. But now, you know, now what we're doing, we put them on flash drives. And this is one of my clients' flash drives. And we get in 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes quicker, depending on which package they choose. So they choose a highlight package, but I get them pretty quickly. It's not a year. I know that much.
Exactly.
It's not a year. When I got married, it took me, you know, a year to get my video back. But now, in the age of social media, everybody wants something quick. I just talked to a bride this morning. I shot about not even 10 days ago, and I'll have an Instagram trailer this evening for her.
Wow.
You know what I mean? 60-second.
We're living that microwave life, Chip.
Man, it's the pressure, because here's the thing. People expect it now. And the technology is better. Back when this guy was doing videos, the computers were slow, the tapes, it took a while to do it. They did it, and we can do 2-3 weddings and knock them out. And I can edit on a laptop instead of a big desktop computer that's not portable. So I can really do my work almost anywhere I go.
Right. That's awesome. So speaking of, you know, getting weddings out pretty quickly, about how many would you do in a weekend?
I've done 3. I don't like doing them. I know that's a lot, Friday and Saturday and Sunday. In May, I have a lot lined up, but I try to do one. If one usually, I can do. I've done 3 only like twice. I remember telling the photographer, say, "Oh, I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
But try to do 2 if possible. But I have help, so I stagger the staff and I make sure I don't burn out. And you know, you have a game plan for it. So and then of course, you have a competent wedding planner like yourself. It makes it so much easier.
I know.
Plug.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It makes it so much easier.
It wasn't a shameless one, though. It wasn't a shameless one.
It makes it no, people have to understand how much that wedding planners help vendors. It's not just, you don't help us. You just run interference for us. You run interference for the bride. I mean, it's just, I'm telling you, I've done so many weddings without.
Yeah. And you know the difference, right?
Oh, yes. And sometimes you can see the difference in the end product. So, I've almost missed like cake cuttings and other stuff because they said, oh, but a wedding planner would be like, oh, Chip, where is the videographer? We need to make sure you're here. Yeah. Just little things like that. So,
and it's important, you know, the good thing is these relationships like we have, that, you know, we collaborate, we talk offline, you know, not just about weddings. We've created like a friendship, you know, we really are, we talk about everything. And when it comes to having those relationships, when it comes to executing the day, it's so valuable because we can work well together. It's just like smooth.
And you know that in this business it's about trust.
Right.
We know it's about trust. So if you know that I say I'm going to be there at 12 noon, you know at 11:55 you don't have to call me.
Exactly.
Because you know unless something happened with me, I'm pretty solid.
And we communicate with each other. We say, hey, this is what's going on. How about that? Or, you know, it's just, it's so important.
It's so important.
It's so important. Yeah. But my last question for you is about the question I'm sure everybody wants to know. How important is price?
Okay, so price is important, of course. I know because budgets are all around us. They're all around us. There are a few things you want to know about price with any wedding cinematographer, videographer. I didn't even go into the difference with cinema and video, but it's pretty much the same. You always want to look at how many hours of service you're going to get with any photographer or cinematographer. You always want to look at what you will be getting. You know, will you be getting a full feature 15-minute film? Will you be getting a trailer?
Right.
Will you get the raw footage? That's all the footage of the wedding. Any extra is an extra for drones, because things can add up.
Absolutely.
So I would say, and price is important, because if it's too low, you're like, okay, I don't understand what's going on here. But then if it's too high, you're like, okay, wow, let me just reevaluate what I'm doing. So I'm trying to just tell prices to be realistic. From what I've seen from cinematographers in this area, the prices I've seen for about $2,200 on the lower end, sometimes $1,500, and they can go up to $4,000, $5,000, even $7,000, $8,000, depending on where. I mean, that's a broad range, I know, but I'm saying on the lower end. And remember, if you go on the lower end, you're going to get less.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, and you should expect that. You know, you kind of get what you pay for. And that's the case with any vendor. And you want to be considerate of that. You know, things are competitive in the nation's capital. So you should expect that if you're going to pay more, you should be getting more.
And especially with the drones and the technology, we only have, we're shooting things in now called 4K. We used to have 1080, that's HD now. 4K TVs are coming out, and more technology is coming out. People, you know, I mean, let me just say one last thing. These cameras are so expensive and so smaller now. And I know that, you know, we're paying $5,000-$6,000 just for our body, not even our lens on the camera.
Wow.
Just $4,000-$6,000 for the opportunity to use this body of a camera. And then, so we're investing a lot of money, a lot of time, and expertise. Because it's not just the gear. You have to have up here to know what to do. And I think that's what you have to pay for. When you're looking for a vendor, you have to not only look at what he has or what she has, because a lot of good women cinematographers too out here. I don't ever want to shade them. A lot of women do a great job. I love hiring women. But I want to make sure that people know that we have to look at the body of work. Look at the reliability. Look at the wedding wire reviews. Look at the not reviews or whatever you look at to see, can this person deliver? Who do you trust on the biggest day of your life?
Yeah. It's so right. The biggest day of your life.
Who are you going to trust?
Other than having a baby, right?
Yeah, other than having a baby.
We're like the prelude to that.
The prelude. But that's when you start your life. And you want to look at this 20 years from now. When we look at our couple, Shannon and Otis, 20 years from now, we can say, we were there on that day. And we had fun. And we did it, and when we see them have babies, when they, you know what I mean, and that just warms my heart when I see couples like that. It's like, Chip, you know, we can refer you. You did our wedding 7 years ago, and you're still doing it, and that, to me, that's worth it all. To me, that's just what I love.
I love what we do.
I do too.
I love what we do. Well, thank you again, Chip, for being here with us today and for sharing your knowledge and your expertise. You can expect to see Chip and I doing so much more work together in 2017 and beyond. So
can't get rid of me.
I'm not getting rid of you. But yes, thank you guys for joining us. Remember to love us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. Until next time.
Good. One take. Good.
Right.
One take.
Right.
That's what
I knew you would handle that though.
Yo, one take. I'm just talking to you.
Yeah, and that's the best part. I think everybody else,
talking.
You're comfortable though with video.
I am.
Because the other interviews that I've done,
Really? I just talking.